Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and we are joined by the one and only Sam Tripoli, comedian and someone that has a lot of things to say on some very important issues. He's a host of Broken Simulation, Tinfoil Hat, of course, Cash Daddies, and a Word War Debate. He's a panelist. I think you got about 40 other podcasts that I can't.
I'm a crazy person.
Yeah, I don't know anyone that has more podcasts than you.
I
made
can't
sure
turn my
to.
head off. I can't turn my head off. So I decided to monetize my mental illness.
Hey,
And here we are.
well, you're doing well with it, and you are filling in all the time slots all day, every day with all this. But I wanted to make sure I wore your shirt
That's a
today
fire
because,
shirt, Josh.
yeah,
That's a
man, I get in
fire
a lot of
shirt.
trouble for it. The Unabomber was right. People love that when I walk down the street.
Buddy, your hair is fire, dude. You have fire hair. I want to shave my head, but I think I have some like Nosferatu head, so I don't want to shave it. But you have a fire skull, dude. I just wanted you to know that. You should
I'll
be proud of your skull.
I'll need that when I go bald because it's happening. But
It's gonna, dude. It's all right. You got a good skull, dude.
I appreciate that, Sam. Now, I want to get into some things that are, well, I mean, obviously controversial, but things that might go above some people's heads, but not yours. I've seen you talk about these things many times before, and you kind of just delve right into the belly of the beast of what is happening, not just in society, but, like interdimensionally. We're talking about something much greater than like just human beings. I wanted to ask you who really controls the politicians, because I've long heard, okay, well, we have the Rothschilds, we have these groups of people, but I believe there's something like way more out there than what human beings can do. For example, people have always said, well, if they're spraying the skies, why would they do that if their own families have to breathe in the air? And I'm always like, well, it's more than humans. This is an anti-human agenda. There's something much bigger than just human beings out there that are controlling politicians. You could call it Satan, you could call it evil, you could call it interdimensional demons, argons, whatever you want to talk about here. Sam, what do you think controls the politicians?
Well, I just went on Alex Jones and I was talking about, I believe it all goes back to Babylon, the old gods, the gods that have been hidden forever. They give you clues who they are, like the Statue of Liberty is Mithras, which is Lucifer. We get into that real quick to go to your point about, well, why would they spray themselves? If you know the woman who ran YouTube for a while, Susan Wojcicki or whatever her last name is, she died of turbo cancer, which is been connected to the vaccine. So they have no problems with taking out their own, and they actually don't mind being taken out because it's all sacrifice.
Well,
So
Sam, that was one of the reasons I got banned from YouTube years ago. Back on now for some reason, probably machine learning. But back then, Susan Wojcicki specifically called out my channel among about I think
congrats,
20
dude.
others,
That must have felt
saying, "Oh,
good.
well, they're spreading all this misinformation. Now she's dead, and her sister ran Ancestry." I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
Yeah, it's crazy. So they have no problems with offing themselves. That's all part as long as the agenda gets pushed forward. That's the most important thing. And it's just like, I have a lot of really good friends who are very big in the political space of just, what's going on in our country and all that stuff. And they're very much from a political point of view. Everything's money and power to them, but I keep wanting to ask them, when do you start to look at the spiritual side of it? It's because they have all the money, they have all the power. They shut down the world. They print this fake money. Like everyone's freaking out about, Trump might switch out all of our debt to crypto, and I'm sure that has some ramifications that we're going to have to pay for. But in reality, they're just switching out monopoly money for monopoly money. That's really what they're doing. The debt isn't real. It's a binary ones and zeros. So they're just continuing the fake game. So it's not about money and it's not about power. It's really only about spiritual war, fallen angels versus humanity. That's at the core what I really believe, because it's very easy to get into the Jews run everything, and and I think that's done on purpose. That is to position them as the bad guy, and it's easy to tee off on that. And they like getting teed off because it gives them purpose, and it's kind of a currency that they, at the very highest levels, they play with.
Mm-hmm.
especially if you take a look at it, like all these Minnesota riots, they're all rich kids, right? They need purpose. And, Jews do really well. So it's like, you give them purpose and that everyone's mad at them for no reason whatsoever. It gives them a reason to get up in the morning. We're going to fight anti-Semitism. So,
Right. And I would say, like, obviously, for no reason whatsoever, generally, obviously, there's no doubt that they are the superiors at controlling much of
no.
industry. But
They're
obviously,
saying it. They're
yeah.
saying, I'm not saying that. They, when you hear like, when Jewish kids grow up and very, very young, they're told by their grandparents and parents forever, they hate us for no reason. They hate us because we're successful. And I'm like, yeah, I used to hear comedians who were called joke thieves used to say that people only hate them because they were famous, because they were succeeding. And I can name you a ton of comics that everyone's so happy that they're crushing. They don't hate that they're succeeding. So that was my point, that they want to believe it's for no reason. And
Yeah.
there's actually presentable reasons that may be lower level, but that's what I was trying to say.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it definitely gets lazy when it's all about just this group of people. I
Yes.
think it's so much bigger than humans. And I mean, how does that fit in with the whole simulation theory? I mean, like the fallen angels thing, I think we could all kind of put this into the code work of what they call the matrix here, of like how everything is simulated in order for us to be focused on one thing and not focused on what really controls us, what's really moving things, and if we can break out of that control spectrum within that
That's
simulation.
a great question. How does the falling angels fall into the simulation discussion? Because I do really do believe we live in an energy vortex. Flat, round, whatever it is. I don't know what it is. I'm being honest with you, but I don't know what it is. But I do believe everything is energy, high vibrational, low vibrational. So maybe that's where it comes in. If it could be both things. There could be, not organized religion, but spirituality aspect to the assimilation, and that the Creator did cast out angels out of heaven or the highest realms. And because if you go back to like Vedic astrology, you go back to Hinduism, they all talk about demons being trapped in this realm. So
Mhm.
it's not just Abrahamic religions. It is of the oldest of ways of looking at it. So the oldest spiritual dogmas. So yeah, I mean, like, that's a great question. I don't have the answer to it, but I would say that whoever created this, there was a battle there, and he cast people out, and they're trapped down here.
Oh, and let me tell you, nobody has the answer to that. That's like asking what happened before the Big Bang, if there was one. Like, hey, what happened before that, or before God? What existed?
Yeah,
Nothing ever. I mean, how does anything start? And where's the beginning? Where's the end? Is time even real? So it gets into a whole can of worms that I don't think anyone's going to actually have an answer to. But it's interesting to hear your thoughts on that. And speaking of that simulation, something
I
that
just want to
you
say something real quick. The
yeah.
the best argument for God is evil. If we live in a dualistic reality, male, female, light and dark, and you go through all of it, you know, if there is evil, and we know there is evil because all this stuff coming out, regardless of what you believe and what you don't believe, we know that these dark people worship these dark entities: Baal, Moloch,
Mhm.
Mithras, Lucifer, who's the goat, Bathmet. They worship them. So if they exist, then there must be the other side. And I'm not saying that God is all love. I think God is love, but there could be arguments that there's also the duality, and that
Mhm.
God created everything. So that's my opinion on that.
I urge people to check that link in the description for Wave Watch 2.2. Pre-order today. Use code WAM, W-A-M, and you'll get over $100 off. 1,250 frequencies on your wrist. Helps you detox. It soothes your nerves. It boosts your energy, enhances cellular function. This is very important going forward for a lot of you. Of course, improving sleep is important, and we are inundated by bad frequencies. This is an opportunity to get the good stuff, endorsed by people like Dr. Brian Artis and Dr. Motley. I urge people to go and check that out. Again, that's code WAM, W-A-M, and you will get over $100 off on your order. Anyway,
Back to the interview.
Absolutely. Now, I wanted to talk about something else in this whole simulation, which doesn't really pertain to the simulation itself. A few years ago, you were on Joe Rogan talking about the incoming immigration riots to come. You predicted it years before it happened about how the pride stuff would kind of die off, and then we'd see this incoming of mass migration riots. And I believe this all leads to like biometrics and everything. They create a problem, come in as a solution, right? And at the time, as per usual, love Brian Callen. Drives me crazy because always denies everything you say, and you're right most of the time. And just like, oh, what? How is it you're going to predict this? Well, what we've seen is exactly what you said, and now we have this Alex Pretti who was killed after Renee Good. Now, Renee Good is kind of difficult to see through, but this Alex Pretti thing is like the guy was clearly shot 11 times in the back on the ground. I mean, like I believe all this is manufactured.
I totally agree. And I believe the guy who shot him there was sent there to cause chaos, to kick it off. You know, it's like, why is Derek Chauvin sent in to deal with George Floyd and let him OD? You know, so if you have an argument, why is Derek Chauvin in jail? Well, he was an emergency responder who didn't respond to an emergency properly, but he was sent in there specifically. They were working together in a nightclub. You know, nobody asked, where did George Floyd get the counterfeit money? Well, it came from that club he was working at. It's been talked about for a while. The Minnesota politicians were funneling Chinese counterfeit money through there. So that's why they send Chauvin, who goes back to the Thuggies, which is an ancient assassins club. And if you look at the way that Derek Chauvin kills George Floyd, it's exactly through history how the Thuggies were presented. So all of this is manufactured. I had some people walk out at me at the Comedy Store. These late night shows at the Comedy Store have been fire. The crowds have been great. They're coming for the chaos, and the booker's doing a great job. Rose, she's doing great with it, and it was a great set until the end. And I start getting into how, like, I literally hate both sides, dude. You know, like, I don't like either side. I don't like the fascist fucking cops, and I don't like the useful idiots. And you're not a revolutionary if you're on a signal chat with Tampon Tim, who is connected to the assassination of a Minnesota politician and is connected to all this fraud. You are not raging against the machine. You are a pawn with the machine. So this is what we're going on. I mean, and you know, my podcast Tinfoil has been around for 9 years. I know you've been doing it longer. You've been in the game for a while too, and you just start seeing patterns all the time, right? And one of the patterns that we've seen is this like infiltration from the outside through the bankers, mostly called Bolsheviks, but it was a color revolution in China, India. They destroyed them through just all the drug wars and went through there, extracted all their wealth. And I hate to tell everybody, and I was telling Alex Jones about this, and he agreed with me. Is like the Nazis, all this stuff coming out in Jeffrey Epstein stuff is now talking about how Hitler was basically bankrolled by the Rothschilds and the international banking cabal.
Well, yeah, he's talking about Hitler, and I think he was talking with, what was it? Was it Ariane de Rothschild or someone else about Hitler being in Argentina and how that he was living basically on the money of Jewish people in shelters for the rest of his life, something like that?
Well, there's a painting of him in Tavistock in 1913, and everyone, of course, they're going to tell you it's a fraud. It's not a real picture. But if he's in Tavistock in 1913, that's where all of the MK Ultra stuff came from. So, you know, they protect their bloodlines. If anyone tells you who his biological grandfather is, they're lying to you. They don't really know, but the belief is a Rothschild knocked up his grandma. She took off, had Olis. Olis changed his last name to Hitler, and here we are. And that what they want you to believe, and there's some really great people who have sacrificed so much personal opportunities, wealth, you know, that because they've been fighting Zionism for a long time, and they look at Hitler like a hero, and I go, he's not a hero, because what you're telling us is that somehow this guy naturally blew up in Germany when it was on lockdown by the international banking cabal. And if he's really fighting bankers, why isn't he going into Switzerland, where the Bank of International Settlements is,
Yeah.
that is extracting 25% of Germany's gross national product? It doesn't make any sense. Oh,
Yeah,
because
people always jump on if it's not this, it must be that, and that's
yes,
one of the psyops that we're witnessing today, and actually something I wanted to get into with you. But yeah, this idea that okay, well, because we see this Zionism International, what they call Jewry, which is a real thing, there's organizations surrounding it which do 100%, if they are Talmudic, actually target different groups of people, target governments, and try to blackmail, extort, all this stuff. It's legal according to the Israeli government to do this, by the way, and we're going to get into that later. I wanted to get into Epstein with you later. I have a few things I want to break down with you first, but
okay.
with all of that, yeah, we see that they have control over that. Okay, therefore, that does not mean, hey, the National Socialist Party is great and Hitler was
exactly.
great. And I mean, there's a lot of lies about World War II. I'm not doubting that at all. Not disputing that, because it's certainly true. It's a rabbit hole I've gone down. We won't go too far into that today, but
I would say the political spectrum is non-binary.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and so this idea that it has to be this side or the other, just circling back to the Alex Pretti thing, people say, well, you must like the left if you don't want police state, or you must love fascism if you don't like a bunch of crazed leftists in the streets burning businesses. And it's like, it's all manufactured. Both sides of it's manufactured. And I wanted to hear your thoughts on where you think this is being manufactured to. What is the goal in the end? What are they trying to emulate here with these riots and this controlled chaos on the ground?
I always tell people to look at everything through the lens of demoralization. Mm-hmm. Once you look at through the lens of how they're trying to demoralize us with this, it starts to make a lot of sense. And, again, it's very weird. Facebook is all my friends. I have family on there. They don't comment, but my friends comment, and they just tee off on me. They just tee off on they're 10 times worse than anybody on Twitter or on Instagram. Yeah, right. And same. I know them as friends, and they're always calling me fascist. They're always calling me a Nazi, even though I would lean more towards libertarianism in the sense that I want as little government as possible. Right. Mm-hmm. So, to me, if you really understand what's going on, you understand it's two wings of the same decayed bird, and that Joe Biden and Trump are working together in a problem reaction solution. It's like Joe Biden. And if you look at these elections, I think most elections are rigged, but sometimes they really have to rig it. And it's really obvious because they need certain people in the White House to create it's like when George Bush Jr. gets in, they need Dick Cheney in the White House because they know 9/11's coming. Yeah. The same thing with Joe Biden. They needed Joe Biden in so he could open up the border, and Latin America can basically release their entire prison population into America with some of the worst. So we have problem, reaction, solution. Problem, immigration, flooding of immigrants. Reaction, crime everywhere, fraud everywhere, all that stuff. Everyone's starting to lose it. Then on top of that, the legal system isn't arresting anybody, isn't prosecuting anybody. Crime's down. Well, crime's down when you don't say there's a crime committed, right? So that's down. Solution is Trump coming in with a heavy hand of ice. And none of this is real, dude. The ICE is trained by IDF. The protesters are paid for, and the agitators are all intelligence agents.
Exactly.
So none of it's real. It's all a giant psyop to demoralize you so you beg for martial law. That is the goal, to get rid of the Constitution. The First Amendment, Second Amendment are the most important laws in the world, and they want to get rid of those. To what extent they still exist, I don't know, but they seem hell-bent on destroying them.
They'll only give it out as like credits on a social credit score later on with your digital ID, which, Trump is one of the main people pushing technocracy right now with biometrics and all that, just like we saw under Biden, just like we saw under Obama. And if anything was an indication to people that presidents aren't in power, it would have been Biden, because the guy couldn't, tie his shoe.
He's auto-penning everything, right? Yeah. And which Biden are we talking about? There were like 7 of them. Yeah. There's Nephilim Biden. There was Did you see the one where he had the mask on and he had black skin under him by and
Oh
all
yeah,
that's done on purpose. It's non-linear warfare because
yeah,
they want us all fighting with each other. So the conspiracy theorists see the black skin and they're like, "Oh, that's a fucking mask." You
yeah.
know, so now nobody's getting together even though, yesterday was like conspiracy Christmas with all these dumps. And I'm very worried because, God bless Adam Green. He loves to call me out when I'm wrong, and I don't mind it because I'd rather be right than wrong. And if I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong. Okay, I'm not superhuman, but he pointed out that one of the emails didn't wasn't real, and so it's like Obama's favorite, one of his famous quotes was, "If you can't control it, flood the town square with sewage." And so
Absolutely.
I was doing a joke last night about how at the comedy store about how like I don't even know how Jeffrey Epstein had time to molest these kids with all these emails he was sending. It's like there's so many fucking emails that seems like a full-time job. So you could easily add a bunch of dog shit because the purpose of adding the fraudulent emails is to get the normie a reason to not believe.
Yeah. I mean, my
Again,
emails
nonlinear
are
warfare.
crazy, and I can't recall spending 3 million emails in my life. I don't think that's possible.
It's impossible to send that many emails, and there they are.
Yeah.
So I would say be very guarded
Yeah.
when you get super excited about this stuff. But again, it's all about divide and conquer.
Yeah, and that's what they're doing with Minneapolis right now. That's what they're doing with Iran and all that kind of stuff. It's like if you don't like this side, you must like that side. Arm and fund, cartels via the CIA. I live in Mexico. Trust me, the people that you see in the U.S. that are committing the crimes are not the people I see here. So there's something very strange going on with that, obviously. So CIA arms and funds groups destroys countries, sends people over, gives them welfare. Then everyone goes, "Hey, what's going on?" And then, "Hey, we need to push back against this." Okay, perfect time to bring in biometrics, cause race wars, all that kind of stuff. What we're seeing with Iran, same thing. Arm and fund terrorists, arm and fund different countries, prop them up against each other,
With
cause
Monopoly
chaos.
funny money, it's like the most brilliant. Like if it wasn't so evil, it would be the most brilliant idea in the world.
Yeah,
Create fake currency, print the shit out of it, bribe everybody.
yeah,
That to me is amazing. It's
yeah,
amazing, and I would love to be like bravo, but they're literally using it to astroturf a fake reality on God's reality. And that's it. Everything you go, hey, that doesn't make sense. That has been paid for by USAID, the Federal Reserve. It doesn't make any sense. And what they're basically trying to do is they're trying to destroy the archetypes in which we see the world in for thousands of years.
hmm
The going back to the good and bad, but male, female roles. That's why television can't stop putting lesbian action heroes in every TV show. It's because they're trying to destroy the archetype, and they know if they can do it for 10 years, then that changes how we look at the world. It
yeah,
takes 10 years to change, and we're getting very close to that, if not already there. So,
yeah.
but everyone's rejecting it. So I have a lot of faith. I think we're winning more than people think. It might not be a total win, but I feel, Josh, and maybe I don't know how you feel, that if they were winning, if they had won, we'd all have barcodes on our fucking head. We'd all be living in 15-minute cities. We wouldn't be flying. That's a big thing I've been talking about, how they don't want you flying.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't, if they want you in a 50-minute city, they don't want you flying. That's why all these videos are coming out, people fighting on the airplanes, people being rowdy, planes breaking off because they want you trapped in your 50-minute city. And we see in California where there's so much tax fraud, they're now going to raise taxes again. And it's all just to fund this false reality.
Absolutely. And this is something that, Sam, speaking of predictions and everything, back in 2019, I was on your show in
You gotta
studio
come back on,
in
dude. We gotta
LA.
get you back on.
Absolutely. No, it'd be great. And I made a prediction at the time where I said, I think there's a conspiracy to stop us from flying because back in 2019, I saw all these red flags coming up to stop people from getting perspective from other parts of the world as I travel to. I've been to 44 countries now. And, when the COVID stuff happened, when they said that I can't fly, I said, well, now I'm going to even more so. So I went to 31 countries without tests or injections or anything like that. And in the span of the COVID stuff. And it was obvious with the Real ID. The Real ID was being pushed years ago, long before the COVID stuff. And Now we're entering into this era where they want us all on social credit scores with digital IDs. They're mandating it for internet verification in places like Missouri right now. The UK has it mandated. It's absolutely crazy. It's definitely where they're heading with this stuff.
It's
But
crazy, dude, that the people who are raping and murdering children want you on a social credit score.
yeah. Well, and then speaking of that, Sam, let's talk about Epstein. You went into it a bit there, but obviously we got to watch out about these with these file dumps. One of the things that has come up a lot is, well, they're claiming now in the mainstream media that it was a honeypot for Russia, which I find funny because he had Russian girls with him, not to mention the Ukrainian girls that he was also selling off, all of them giving Bill
He's
Gates
selling
STDs.
off all the girls of every group.
But meanwhile, Putin never stayed at Epstein's house. Someone who did was Ehud Barak, who was a prime minister of Israel. So, I mean, who do you think he
100%.
was working for? I mean, was it CIA? Was it Mossad? Was it both? Was it multiple? Was he just an international, recruiter for different intelligence agencies?
As this book states, the Church of the British Empire. This is a great book. I've been reading it. It's a great book. It's the British Empire. And above that is the 13 families. That is my 100% belief. That is how crazy it gets. But it's always been the British Empire. The British Empire installed the first king of the House of Saud in Saudi Arabia, British spy, the Shah of Iran, British royalty, the Shah's son that they want to install right now. He's British royalty. The British cut up all of the Middle East into fake borders where they put warring tribes together so they would never come together and get along. It is secret societies that are all work for the 13 families. That's my honest belief.
I urge people to check those links below. We have heavensharvest.com for long-term storable foods that are non-GMO. There's organic kits, heirloom seeds, water filtration and storage, and books on how to get started. Right now we have an amazing sale, 25% off on everything here in the United States with free shipping if you use code WAM, W-A-M. Things are getting crazy. We need to be prepared. And of course, one of the main goals for the global establishment is for us to be dependent on them. So do not put yourself in a position where you are dependent. From winter storms to attacks on the food supply, this is an opportunity for people to get prepared today. So I hope people go and check that out. Again, that's heavensharvest.com, code WAM, W-A-M, and make sure to hit that like button, share on social media, hit the notification bell, and hit subscribe if you have not yet already. Yeah, I mean, we have one file, and I agree with you that obviously there are these families that are controlling all this. I do think it's interesting that the new files you have, one thing that was surprisingly not redacted when it came out, which was the FBI saying that they believe Trump is compromised by Israel, which makes a lot of sense if you, I mean, I think all presidents are, but when you consider what he's done in the last year for Israel. Venezuela was about Israel and the dollar hegemony system. Iran is about Israel. You know, Yemen and Syria are about Israel. I mean, what do you think about like the claims that Trump is compromised by the Israeli government in some way? Because again, it seems pretty clean cut, even if it wasn't kids that he was with. Though there seems to be some evidence of 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds. I mean, multiple emails about this. But if he's compromised in any way by Israel, in the sense that it could be, you know, a 21-year-old woman. Obviously, Trump doesn't want his butthole on the internet. So for good reason, that's enough blackmail for him to stand back. What do you think?
100%, dude. Again, and I just think Israel is a proxy territory of the Bank of England. But yeah, that's exactly what it is. And it's pretty obvious that he is being controlled by that. And, you know, I'll tell you, pedophilia is the initiation into the highest levels of power. That's how they control you. It's either murder or pedophilia. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what's going on here. And, you know, his hero, his mentor was it Cohn, his last name?
Roy Cohn, yeah.
Roy Cohn. And that guy was a gay pedophile blackmailer. He basically set up who ran the Red Scare? What was it back in the day? McCarthy. Mm-hmm. He basically set up McCarthy to look like an idiot.
Yeah. It was Roy Cohn, McCarthy, and Robert F. Kennedy Sr. who were working on that. Yeah.
Yeah, and they set them up because what they do, dude, is they set up these things fully knowing something later is going to come out, and they want to train the masses to believe in hysteria. You know, like satanic panic, the Red Scare. When both of those were totally right. There's a
Hmm.
ton of communists in the government, and there's a ton of pedophiles in the government.
Yeah.
So, and Satanists in the government. So this is how they do it. You know, you take a look at the fires that are happening in California. Look at the fires that are happening in Brazil, in Argentina. Argentina is super interesting because you know they're talking about the IDF is running there to escape war crime charges. Who else did that? Who
Yeah.
else ran to Argentina to escape war crime charges? Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Where's Argentina? What's it close to?
Yeah.
Antarctica. So you know, that is what's going on. They have basically created this country that is a giant welfare state that could not exist without the US. It's a parasite. It sucks off the tits of America, and that's the only way it done. But the whole point of Israel is to control the Middle East. This is a very, and it's not just oil. I think oil is just the smoke screen to get us all to go, oh, it's all about oil. No, it's
Yeah.
really about ancient history and what that territory represents in specific ancient Babylon. If you take a look at like the map of the Greater Israel Project,
Hmm.
it fits really nicely into ancient Babylon. Ancient Babylon was a little bigger, but it fits right there alongside of it, and I think that's what they're going for.
Well, yeah, it was a bit bigger, but they're also showing that they're going to expand further than just Babylon, considering their move into all of Iran, and of course, I think there's no doubt
Ukraine is
Ukraine.
Khazaria, and there's Khazarians involved in all this too, as well.
Exactly.
I mean, they're calling it New Israel.
Yeah. Yeah. And okay, so Sam, I know you don't have a lot of time, so I wanted to get into something quickly before you got to
I
go.
can go
And
another 15. I'm sorry that I had to go short. My
all
kids are
good.
acting up. I'm
All
very
good.
sorry, dude. I'll do another show
All,
with you.
all
I
good. Well,
apologize.
I hope they're doing well. I know you have
They're
twins.
great. I
It's got to
love my
be
kids.
it's
They're
got to be
just
fun.
needy. These things are needy.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, so comedians are usually the first people to figure out if something can be said or not. I mean, if you want to go to the extremities of free speech, I think the first people to find out if something is going to work or not work, it'll be comedians, because I think free speech, it's a bastion of free speech, stand-up comedy, because you're telling the truth in a way that's funny, so people are able to laugh at things that are often pretty ugly. And I think one of the things that we've seen over the last few years is that slowly we found out that we could say the word retard again from comedians.
Yeah,
You
I have
know,
a
and
giant bit at the end about how everybody's retarded. It's my big closer. And it's very funny because I just had a good friend of mine tell me how much he loved that bit, Dustin Yarborough. And it's very interesting when I start that bit, all the progressives in the crowd get really quiet, and then by the end they love the fucking bit because it's the truth. You know, it's like
Mhm.
it's like the word retard and the f word when it comes to gays. I'm not gonna say, I don't know where you're gonna put this, but
YouTube. So yeah,
though
yeah,
though those words don't actually mean what progressives think they mean. You know, the F word when it comes to gays means queenie asshole. That's what you're talking about when you say that. The R word just means dumb asshole. You know,
hmm
like it's just two different assholes. That's really what you're talking about when most people say it.
hmm
And, you know, the F word when it comes to gays, and this is something I've been really pushing hard in comedy, and I'm getting a lot of pushback by comedians, which is the weirdest thing, is that every single rule of political correctness, every rule that is created is violated by the people who the rule is meant to protect, except for one, the K word when it comes to Jews. They're the only ones, maybe outside of Ari Shafir, that
yeah,
doesn't call their own people the K word. So I respect that. They follow their own rule. Everybody else violates that rule. And the people who enforce the rule laugh their asses off when that group violates that dude. Gay comics can't stop saying the F word. Black comics can't stop saying the M word. Female comics can't stop saying the R word, and we're told we can't say these words because they're dangerous and they hurt people's feelings. Yet the people we're meant to
Wait.
protect.
Did you just say female comics can't stop saying the R word? Is that?
Yeah, grape.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant retarded. Okay,
No,
never
no,
mind.
no.
Only people that are retarded
needs.
are allowed to say. Okay,
I haven't seen any special needs comic, but I wouldn't doubt if they drop the R word.
Yeah.
The other R word.
Yeah.
Okay, we
well,
got
I
two
just thought
R
you were
words.
calling women retarded for a second there. So
They are. I do on stage all the time.
Yeah.
But all this anti-feminism stuff that you're seeing on the internet is a natural reaction to the mainstream media in Hollywood pushing one side of the equation, which is feminism to destroy women. So this movement now you see and they're trying to demonize it through red pill and stuff like that, calling it red pill. It really is a pushback to kind of align everything to 50-50 the way it used to be. Sorry about my kid in the back.
All good. All good. Well, I agree. Well, and they're all manufacturing all this. I wanted to get to the idea of like where you see the state of free speech right now, though, because obviously there's some pullback now. Because for a while it looked like it's open season a little bit for a while, which was nice after the 2010s, where it was pretty much you couldn't say anything or else you're a demon, you are worse than Epstein, all that kind of stuff. The same people that the censors were worshiping. So then we see the shift, but now we have applications like X stopping people from talking about Israel. It's in their code, and then we found that out recently. TikTok took over by Larry Ellison, Trump's friend, and you can't say the word Epstein on the app. I mean, and I'm getting shut down big time right now on TikTok.
Yeah, I know you are.
I've joined things like Upscrolled and stuff. Hope it works out. But
here's the thing, dude. You are part of something I learned at Word War Debate called tombstone algorithms, which is these platforms say we're opening it up, we're opening speech, but they have a tombstone algorithm for the OGs because they're actually still pissed at you that you forced them to have to change their policies so they don't forget. So that's happened to me on YouTube. Like I can't get past 20,000 views, and it will shoot up to 20,000 and just stop like nobody else watches it. And there's all these talks about what platform has real numbers, what platform doesn't have real numbers, and if you're pumping up my number, I don't give a shit because I'm so shadow banned on all these platforms. Like people share my stand-up clips on their Instagram page and get huge numbers.
Yeah.
And then when I share it on my page, it just gets throttled and you'll see it because it will tell you who's watching it. So do I think and this is, you got to be very specific about what free speech is. These social media platforms are the extension of the government. Okay. And they gave away the play, which is freedom of speech, not freedom of reach. And when they told us exactly what they were doing. Freedom of speech is the government coming down and punishing you for something you say. So they found this kind of back door to it where they'll just limit your speech without technically violating you. I do think in the room, like if you're at a comedy club, it is going farther than it's ever gone. And it's not everybody. These younger comics are very funny people. They're excellent writers. We're scared shitless by cancel culture. So they're not really provocative. And if they are provocative, it's from the progressive point of view. They're and this is a big problem. The young people are super progressive, and the older liberals have been calcifying their views that they can't realize that the left is as bad as the right, if not worse, at censorship right now. The right censors for Israel and the left censors for everybody because feelings matter, So I in a one-to-one or on stage, it's going great. Yeah. The problem is on Instagram, Mark Zuckerberg has his thumb on the competitive balance of comedy right now. And the only thing Instagram promotes is sex, violence, stupid, or just pissing people off.
Right. Right, and they're creating a social credit system with social media, as they always have. That's why, we have the incoming 5 years of social media history to enter the United States. That's literally social credit. So essentially, if you aren't American and you're entering the United States, you have to show 5 years of social media history, 10 years of emails, photo metadata, biometrics, all this. I believe all this is going in that direction. And with the shadow banning, I think that's an early version of what we'll expect as human
100%.
beings at the grocery store. But yeah, I mean, people have been sharing for 9 years now my video of confronting Justin Trudeau. It's super famous in Canada. It gets shared every week, millions of views every time. I post it, 1,000 views.
Yep.
And YouTube, for example, they let me on last year, back after 5 years. No idea why, other than probably machine learning for them. But I started posting videos. I did an interview with Sean Stone last week. 150,000 subscribers, 500 views. Thank God I have like 76 platforms I post on. Thank God I have big reach on other things, because if I was stuck with just YouTube or Facebook
Right.
or X, it would be awful. I'd be bankrupt. I'd be sleeping on a bench. I mean, it's
What's
crazy.
frustrating is that things that you talk about, these new content creators are talking about, and they're allowed to flourish. But because you're in a tombstone algorithm, you get pounded into oblivion,
People
into
who
the
have never
darkest.
actually looked into any of this stuff, Sam, people that had just come out of nowhere and made one video and 100 million views on it over
Yep.
something they read an article
I
online for 10
completely
seconds.
agree, dude. Yep. I'm seeing it left and right. They allow them to flourish because they hate us. Because we won. We forced them to change their way of operating. We went to other platforms. We brought our crowd with us, and their numbers started going down.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, Google, even though it's a U.S. government um, arm, okay, it still needs traction to be relevant, and that's a big problem right now with like Hollywood. Like, it's not losing money that they're pissed off about because they're just getting fed money to clean up the red.
Right.
It's they can't reach you anymore. Like, like one battle after another did shitty at the box office. It lost $100 million. Its whole thing was to program you to hate ICE.
Yeah.
And now it's not happening. The only people who are mad at ICE, and I'm not, and listen, again, I hate fascist cops. And my
Mm-hmm.
cousin's a cop, my grandfather's a cop. I don't hate all cops. I hate bootlickers, okay? Um, but the only people going to these Tesla protests, the only people going to these ICE protests are CNN and MSNBC freaking audience members who are still watching these people, even though they've lied to them for the last 15 years
Yeah.
since Russiagate. They lied to them about Iraq as well. And and that's the right. But the left has been lied to ever since Hillary Clinton ran for office, which is now 11 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've been lying the whole time, but they don't care because they're old school. They're set in their ways. The news is the voice of reason. You got to watch it to be updated because I got in a fight with a guy at the Comedy Store, argument, not a physical fight,
Yeah.
and I had to walk away with it because I've been doing this so long that I just don't care anymore. If you don't want to believe it, that's something about you, nothing about me.
Mm-hmm.
And his big argument against me, his big talking point is that I do my own research, which like which Jimmy Dore's famous joke is that we used to call that reading,
Yeah.
right? And
Right.
now it's like seen as a detriment. Like if you're not regurgitating mainstream media talking points, you're a reader.
Yeah.
It's very weird, dude.
And that's kind of the environment we're in now. The mainstream media is dying. It used to be 75 million people a night watching Larry King. Now you can't find like 100,000 people to watch CNN all night. But now we're seeing it in alternative media, which seemed like a good thing, but also a lot of alternative medias are completely controlled, as I've seen personally. So, I mean, it's hard to find good information now. But one of the things I think really helps people get to a lot of their viewpoints, and it's strange how this happens, but it's comedy. And I wanted to thank you for the work you do. You're my favorite stand-up comic. It's not just because I know you. And
You're very nice.
I'm
Thank
really
you,
happy
buddy.
that Tim Pachode introduced me to you years and years ago, and I went to a few of your shows. Always
Love
great.
Tim.
And yeah, absolutely. And as I close this off, I wanted to ask you, you have any show dates or anything that you want to throw out there for people that?
Yeah, if you go to samtripoli.com, I just put up a lot of my 2026 dates. New dates are coming in. It's a long list, but I'm all over the place. And watch for Word War Debate. We're looking at the end of March for the next show. It's going to be like the UFC, the WWF, or WWE of debating. Our goal is to make intellectuals rock stars, and it blew up on the first one. The production needed work, but we're fine tuning that, and
Was that
that's
Pearl
it.
Davis and Anna Kasperi in the first one?
Yeah, yeah, that was our main
That
event,
was
and it
amazing.
blew up. And I thought they, obviously, Pearl had some weird moments in her debate, and because she's not a debater,
Hmm.
and Anna is savage. She's a great white in that world, and but I thought Pearl had some great points. I thought it was a wonderful debate, and we'll see it coming. The things that we've learned, right? Like your show getting shadow banned, my show getting shadow banned,
Hmm.
Joe Rogan being so big, is that people are very hungry for intellectual conversations. They want food for their brain. And that's why I think this show's going to do. It's going to make it an event. It's going to be fun. It's like, why go watch fights when you can watch verbal combat? And I'm very excited for the future. But if you want to see me live, I'm going to be shooting a special, hopefully soon through Gas Digital, Luis J. Gomez and Big J and Dave Smith's company. So that should be in Austin soon, as soon as I know. And then we have some big dates coming up. We'll be dropping a big announcement. I don't want to put it out yet, but we have a big announcement coming out Wednesday on Tinfoil Hat. So the next episode, check it out. We'll have a big announcement. Big things are coming and blessings.
That's amazing. And as always, I urge everyone to check those links in the description. We are seeing the shift into either long form or clips. And I think you cover kind of both of those with something like
I
Word
think
War.
the
And
future is streaming, dude. I
yeah,
think it's the next wave of podcasting because it comes more interaction. It's like streamers are now becoming the new podcasters. So I will watch for that. Live streams, I think, are going to be where it's at soon.
yeah, it's crazy. You see Kai Cenat or like Sneeko sleeping, and the guy's making like $1 million in his sleep off that. I have to give people credit for whatever that's due. But anyway, I really appreciate you joining us,
Josh,
Sam.
you're
And
one of the best, buddy. You're one of the best. That's why you're one of the most shadow banned people out there. You do the Lord's work. You work hard. I see on Twitter your frustrations, and it just means you're right. So just stay in the pocket. That's why I try to retweet you all the time to help you. And I'm shadow banned too, so whatever I can do to help you with your reach, I'll do it. But you're doing the Lord's work, buddy. Don't get frustrated. It means you're right.
I appreciate it, Sam, as always, and I appreciate the support. And I hope to talk to you again soon.
I'm gonna when we're done, just on Twitter, send me your email. I'll tell Mark to book you, and we'll get you on. We'll hopefully get you some more eyeballs, buddy.
I appreciate it, man. All right, everyone, look at those links in the description and tune in. We got a lot coming in the next few weeks because obviously, well, I don't know if you guys have looked at the news recently, but it's pretty insane. So we got no shortage of stuff to talk about. Stay tuned, and we'll be back.